I think if all the signaling stops, maybe, is there an emergency? No, seriously, is there an emergency? Wait a minute, is Hunter here? Sorry. Whoops. Okay, all right, let's bring this meeting to order. Yes, at 7:02 p.m., most palatable hour. Okay, all right, now listen, if we're gonna start like this, Brian, I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna send you to the office, and you're gonna get paddled. All right, so here we go. Unfortunately, we're going to start tonight on a solemn note. Bob Bone has been around this club for many, many years, much longer than me and probably most people in this club, I'm thinking. Maybe not you, Brian. Benny. Yeah, and Bob got sick a few years ago. He had just started a new job, was about 2 weeks into the job, got sick, and really never recovered. I've done a lot of things with Bob. We went to his house. As a matter of fact, it was Dave Spondike, myself, and Randy went there and put some antennas up for him. And as he was ill, he certainly could have done it himself. But anyway, he wanted to be back in ham radio, and to the largest extent that he possibly could, he did remain in ham radio, literally till the end. I had let's see, Jason, you called me, and he had a surgery. Do you know anything more about that?
He was supposed to have it had been a planned surgery, because it was to finish, look at this.
Yeah.
It was a planned surgery to finish some work that he had been having done from his last surgery after he had the original issue. And according to his daughter, the surgery was planned and it had gone well. The surgery itself had gone well, but then he passed away the next day from a heart attack while in recovery. So,
Yeah.
Stress of the surgery, and I think things like that is kind of what they're thinking. So,
Okay. Thank you. And and again, I can't say enough about Bob. I do want to ask Brian, who's known him probably longer than anybody here. Benny, if you have something to say too, that's fine. We'll start with Brian.
Well, it's hard. I've known him a long time. He was one of my instructors in Cerro when I first got my license in '96, and you'd stop by his house. The first thing he asked you, "Want a beer?" Every
My
time.
kind of guy.
And there was one time we were halfway through a 12-pack, well lit up, and he breaks out the spud gun. And I've never seen a spud gun shoot close to a mile before, but I was laughing so hard. It's just like, it was one of those times, one of those fun things with Bob. He always had something fun to do, and he always had those little refrigerator magnets with all these sayings you see on Facebook anymore. And he gave me a couple of them. We had them hanging on our refrigerator, but I was thinking it would be fun, and I'm sure Bob would think this was highly amusing, that we have a 21 spud gun salute for him. I think we really should do something like that for him. He would think that was pretty neat, because he was telling me at field day, I had to run him back to his house, and he was saying one of his friends died. He was cremated, and he had his ashes put in fireworks for a fireworks display to the Moody Blues. And that would be something else that I could see Bob doing. But he'll be missed. He was a great guy, great 6-meter guy.
Yeah, we will certainly miss Bob. He was our fox hunt guru. and did some really funny things with the fox hunts. And I'm really sorry we kind of fell off that wagon. We should maybe start doing that again. Dave, here.
That's how I got to know Bob, doing a fox hunt. And I think his wife made a cherry pie for the winter. We did a couple since then, and that's so when I got to meet Nick in person. We were doing the last fox hunt we did together, me and Bob, and we were sitting up at the park down here, and Nick was getting ready to head up and get up into Bueller's to get ready for the fox hunt, and he comes rolling up to us, and he sees Bob and I setting up the fox. So he disqualified himself. I don't think, I think that actually gave a hint to a couple of people who were into the hunt.
Yeah, they're not here tonight.
But that's how I got to get to know Nick. Bob and I shared a lot of different activities together, and I was always happy to help out Bob when he needed it. I still have a roll of Geta. Does anybody know what Geta is?
Geta.
Geta is a German breakfast sausage. It's made out of hamburger, pork, oats, and seasoning. And if you want to get, you can only get it one place you can only get it in one place. That's Cincinnati, Ohio. Geyers, G-E-I-E-R-S, Geyers Good, no, Gleers, G-L-I-E-R-S, Gleers Good Geta. He went down to Cincinnati a little while ago, brought me back a couple of rolls. I still have one in my freezer. I'm going to eat it and remember him every breakfast that I do. What I would like to suggest, and we need to talk to Bob's wife, because Bob had a very nice fox hunt set up. I got to do a couple with him. I would like to ask his wife to donate that fox hunt equipment to the club. And I would be willing to do at least once a year, if we cannot do more, but at least a once a year Bob Bone Memorial Fox Hunt. And Bob did food and all kinds of stuff. We'll figure out how to make it happen. But I would not like that equipment to just sit in a basement somewhere.
Either Bob's wife or his daughter is going to get in touch with me when they're ready to go through his
Okay.
equipment.
I think it would be really nice for the club to adopt at least the fox hunt equipment and make it part of our club and make the fox hunt and Bob's memory part of what we do in the future. I think it would be a great way to remember Bob, and I would be happy to help out and participate in any way possible.
Okay. All right, thank you, Dave, and I think that's a fabulous idea. Bob, I and Randy went to Bob's place, put up some antennas for him and stuff, but that was after. Before, Bob was all about helping anybody who needed some help. So that's just his legacy, and that's just who he was. Benny, you have something to say?
Well, I'm right there with Brian. I mean, I was in the same, I think we might have been in the same class back in '96, and there was, Bob was part of the instructor. There was quite a few guys. Barry Yeoman was there, Del LeBeau. There's quite a few guys there that were putting on the classes, but Bob was quite a bit a part of it. And I think one of the last things I remember, and even Marty was, if I remember, as far as that Bob was helping to put up an antenna, and Bob was also volunteer fireman at one point and all this kind of stuff. But then he proceeded to come up on the roof over at Marty's building where he's got his antenna, and he's on all fours walking across the roof, and we were kind of all surprised. And but you know, after Bob's experiences with, you know, firefighting and all this, and the point where, I'm sure we're all that way, though, that eventually our legs get a little shaky getting up on a roof and stuff like that. But Bob, he couldn't stand up on two legs. I asked him, I said, Bob, why are you up here? He says, I'm here to help. I said, okay. But no, Bob was a good guy and always enjoyed the food that helped prepare for the field days, too. So.
Food always makes everything better, that's for sure. I will also say that Bob helped me, and it's Bob, me, and there was a couple other guys that went through KDA's CVS, Ron Delangelo's equipment, and helped him and his wife actually liquidate his stuff. And Bob was just a good guy. He was just an absolutely good guy, ready to do whatever he could do for anybody. So he will be missed, and we certainly appreciated knowing him. I appreciated knowing him, and it's just such a sad scenario that we have to deal with now. But we are going to help his widow out, and just we're going to carry on. I think Dave had a good idea about the Fox Hunt Memorial. That's a good idea as well. Anybody else have anything to say before we move on? Okay, let's just take a moment of silence in regard to Bob. Just a moment. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I know Bob, wherever he's at, he's looking over and saying, you guys, just get on with a fox hunt somewhere. All right. Yeah, he would be. Absolutely. All right, welcome Sarah and friends, the best looking hams in the hobby. And if you don't believe me, just look around. Look to the person to your left. Look at the person to your right. If you're not scared out of your wits, then we are the best looking hams in the hobby. And the nicest too, for sure. Newbies, anybody who hasn't been here before or new ham, if I don't know you, you better be standing up and letting us know who you are. I know we have some folks back here.
Yeah, I've been in the club a while, but I've been out because of health issues at home with the wife. But I'm back tonight. Chris, Whiskey 5, Victor Oscar X-Ray from the Loyal Oak section of Norton.
All right, Chris, thank you for being here. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you being here. Would you like to stand up and say hello? I can. Yeah, you can. Here, take this. That's a microphone.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ben. I joined back around Field Day and KE8BHQ out of Strasburg, Ohio. And that's about all I got.
Short and sweet. Short and sweet. That's what we love. Thank you, Ben. And really good to associate a call with a face. Not that I'll remember. You know, senility is my worst enemy. Well, not my worst, but one of them. Okay, anybody else? Let's see. Anybody else? How about you? Never mind. All right, very good. Welcome, gentlemen, and appreciate you being here. Don't ever be a stranger. Announcements. We've got a couple Ham Fests coming up. The Cleveland Ham Fest in Berea is this weekend. It's a great Ham Fest. That is really a nice Ham Fest. I haven't been there in a couple years. You know, COVID kind of just ruined things for people. But that is a very nice Ham Fest. If you have an opportunity to make the Ham Fest, do that. It's hac.org for all the information that you need about it, starting times, et cetera, et cetera. Great Ham Fest. And the Massillon Ham Fest is coming up at the end of October. That's going to be at the Maps Museum. And that truly is there's two major, in my opinion anyway, ham fests in this area, and it's the Massillon group and the Seafart group. Just great ham fests. There's others. Please don't make this inclusive or anything. But the Massillon group does their ham fest at the Maps Museum, which is a value add and a half. It's great to go to a ham fest and end up at the Maps Museum and see the military aircraft. It's just a great time. So don't forget about the Massillon group and their ham fest. As a matter of fact, I will reiterate, back in the middle of COVID, I think it was 21, they had a ham fest and they executed it superbly. They took temperatures, they did this, that, the other thing. They had things spread out in conjunction with what the medical people were telling us, and they did just a super job. And the planes were there. It was just fabulous. And hats off to them. They did a great job. So we have these two ham fests coming up. Yes.
So just Berea, Ohio, but it's the fairgrounds. It's the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds is where it's at for the first one, Cleveland.
Oh, the Berea. It's the Berea, right? Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, and again, hac.org for anybody who wants to check that out. Any other questions? All right. Some announcements. The next Sarah sponsored VE session. Stefan, take it away. Take it away. Here. There you go.
All right. So our next session is October 7th at the Sharon Center United Methodist Church. And I just found out tonight that the set is going to be the same day. So we're going to work that out and figure out, because I might need some extra people. But I'm going to send out an email by the end of the week or beginning of next week about getting VEs for the session, and also possibly people to work the door if we find out differently for the collection and stuff. You're also going to see, if you're one of our VEs, you're also going to see an email. Part of that email is going to be about, we need to get on exam tools. If you're already on, that's cool. You just respond to me, tell me you're already on, and give me the name that you listed under. If not, we got to move towards the exam tools, and we're going to try to get that up and running by December. And so it's not a hard process. You sign up. We have all that information. We'll have all that information. I had it in a previous email. I'll send it out again. You sign up. You get listed, and then what that allows us to do is it allows us to use the Ham Tools login page. They can sign up there, so they don't even have to sign up on our page. We'll get a list on the day that we go to our ham test, the VE test. We push a button, and they're all listed right there. They take their test on a test form. They use the same ARRL questionnaires. They fill out a test form. It's even simpler to grade than before. You just hold it up to the camera on a PC or a phone, and it's graded. So, and it's like graded, and it then immediately does all the paperwork for us. It's done. All we do at the end of our session is we push a button. It sends all that stuff up to ARRL. There's no problem with me doing it manually. We're doing it for the October session, but we want to move forward a little bit to do that for the electronic age that we're in. So not hard to do. You'll see all that information. But our next session, like I said, and we have a whole family. So we have a family that signed up, Leininger from Brunswick. So we got 5 or 6 people signed up. One's going from tech to general, and all the rest are going to tech. Want to take their license. So a whole entire family, the whole clan's coming down. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, that's it for the VE sessions. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that.
Okay, and Stefan is such a nice guy, really and truly. We are going to move toward ham tools.
That's the exam tool.
Exam tools. We are going. We've been going around in a little bit of a circle on that. We're making the move. If you want to remain on the VE team, just saying, you got to do this. In December, we're gonna do that. If we have 3 people that are registered, then that's how we're going to do it with 3 people. Because I'm putting a hammer down. I'm just saying, Dave. Don't start.
I need to follow up
Here,
on that. I
here.
started it, didn't finish.
Okay.
And one of the things I do want to say, Stefan, is that I have heard from more than one recently or moderately recently licensed ham that they were incredibly impressed with your process. They felt comfortable. They felt safe, and they just felt like they could just take the test, do what they needed to do, get their license. They weren't intimidated. There was one person who was talked about, I think I remember a conversation, you probably remember too, about people sitting with crossed arms and stuff. But I've heard a lot of positive feedback about the VE sessions, and I want to credit Stefan with creating that.
Well, thank you. We have great VEs. We have really great VEs. Every single one of them.
Well, I haven't been part of the oversight committee.
And the guys in the front door.
I haven't been part of the oversight committee for the VE group, but if people are comfortable and not feeling intimidated, I'm thinking, what the hell are you guys doing? I mean, come on.
Let's go back.
Come on.
Let's go back to driving to Detroit.
As a matter of fact, I say we reinstitute the code test.
There you go.
For extra class.
Anybody?
For extra class, yes.
Somebody told me that in the old test sessions, Barry had to arm wrestle you first before you get to license.
There you go. See, I mean, just, there's some things that, there's some things, yeah, okay. So much for that. All right, the last thing on this slide is save the date, the annual holiday party, December 7th. It is going to be an extravaganza. Are you kidding me? It's going to be an extravaganza. Scott's getting ready. All right, save the date. It's December 7th. We've invited the Wooster group. Hopefully you guys will come. It's going to be a fun time, and we certainly want to be inclusive. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. Only if it snows. Only if it snows.
Did you hear? Hey, did you hear what Doug said? That's where the Worcester guys go. I'm sorry.
You mean the Wayne County guys?
Wayne County guys.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Okay. Yes, sir.
There's going to be a sign-up sheet. It'll be on our website to sign up if you're coming, so we know how many's coming. Okay, I'll start over.
How many are coming for what?
The holiday party.
Oh, okay, thank you.
If you're coming, you need to sign up, and there's going to be a fee. Don't know how much it is yet. It probably won't be cheap. I'll keep it as cheap as I can. But everybody that signed up for the picnic last week didn't show up. So if you're not coming, don't sign up. Because I bought food for 59 people and 59 people didn't show up. So make sure you're coming before you sign up. Because I had a lot of food left over and we gave a lot of it away to club members. So don't lie. If you sign up, you got to be there.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So we're going to have a holiday party on the anniversary of Pearl Harbor.
Absolutely. That's the only way to celebrate. Okay. Honestly, Bill, I appreciate that, but that was the date, and we will definitely celebrate.
Take a moment.
We will take a moment or two.
We'll have some Japanese and zeros here.
Japanese cereals. I'm not touching that.
Too many Long Island iced teas.
Okay. Next, I do have an update on Russ. Russ Sapik has been around for a long time. He's been a friend of Sarah. He's not a club member, but he has been the master of trivia in the past. You gotta love Russ. And unfortunately, early Alzheimer's caught up with him. His lovely wife can't take care of him at home, so he's been admitted to this institution, this facility, excuse me, the Berea Alzheimer's Care Center. It's at 51 Sheldon Road in Berea. That's the address. You can send him a card. You can contact him when he gets his cell phone. I don't know where that stands right now. I was hoping to get that information for tonight, but I will have it forthcoming on Sarah Announce when I do know that. But Russ is my age, and it's kind of interesting that I mean. I don't know what to say. I feel so bad, and he's such a good guy, and his wife's lovely, family's lovely, and although Russ has always been such a little bit of a curmudgeon, but that's just who he was, and you gotta love him. You just gotta love him. Anyway, this is Russ's information. If you want to take a note, and it'll certainly come forth in the minutes. As soon as I get the phone number, I'll make sure that everybody knows it. All right, approval of last month's minutes by Mr. Shafter. Yeah, that's you.
Okay, if anybody has any concerns or any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and have them approved the way they are. Any concerns or questions? Nope.
All right,
I need that
motion.
approval.
Motion to accept last month's minutes. Marty?
Second.
Stefan, second. Any dissension? Not even from the wild bunch over here? Okay, just wondered. Thank you.
Oh, I have one more thing. Has everybody signed in? We didn't vote. Yes, sir. Wait a minute, we have to give him the official pen.
All right, who else needs to sign up? Okay, over there. Okay, we got a few. All right, Dave, can you pass it on?
We didn't vote.
Vote on what? I did. Yeah, we voted.
Well, then vote for it.
Okay, the Frito Bandito, i.e. treasurer. I told you, Jeff, I had a special. I told you. Here you go.
Nice. All right, treasurer's report. Beginning balance 451187. We did take in 71 for 50-50 raffle. Also a nice $20 donation to Sarah. We did have some expenses, our annual insurance policy premium, All-Star hosting, which is monthly, and also miscellaneous cabling for the UHF repeater upgrade. So now we got some new gear and new cabling. We did also take in some membership dues this time around, and I will mention that we did have 2 new members sign up, and those 2 members actually also paid for dues for Jim Cummings in addition to signing up, which is great. And so he is he's paid through, I think, 2026 now. So Jim is going to be a member for a long time, whether he wants to or not. Ending balance 433280, of course 1100 in the repeater replacement maintenance allocation, and 3280 in the general fund allocation. Questions, concerns? If
And
not,
we'll talk
motions?
about the cabling here in just a second, in a few minutes here. But Jeff, for being the Frito Bandito, you do a nice job.
All right.
Yeah.
Motions?
Motion to accept the treasurer's report. Scott? Second. Russ? Any dissension? All right, thank you very much. Moving right along. All right, the N8 SY Interactive Video Conference did not happen. We had a few technical difficulties, so we moved this event to Tuesday, September 26th. That's a week later. It's next Tuesday at 6 p.m. We're going to do it again. I sent an email out to the clubs that I previously sent the email out stating that we had technical difficulties, and we're going to try it again on September 26th. Again, the ballots are coming out on the 21st, so we certainly want to support Scott Yonley. He's been a friend, especially of this club, for a number of years, and we certainly appreciate all his efforts with ARRL. He, in my humble opinion, Scott loves ham radio. He understands the league. He's been there for a while, but that's not detrimental because he truly does understand where the league needs to go for the future. So we want to support him as our Great Lakes director. So just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that this has been rescheduled. Comments?
The 21st of October?
26th of September.
You said 21st.
Well,
There was a confusion.
I'm sorry. If I said the 21st.
26th. Okay.
All right. All right, so here's the deal, gang. Everybody in this room who knows me understands that I'm chronologically challenged. Everybody knows that. Okay, so I don't want to. Here, it's right here. It's right here. Dave.
Yeah, I've heard Scott talk a couple of times before, and whether you are an ARR member or not, or whether you like the ARRL or not, I hear lots of stuff talked about, on various occasions, but we are an ARR affiliated club. And if you want somebody who's, I say, my mom was on the director's board for negotiations in Washington D.C. for the NEA. You want somebody who knows how to work within the system that is making things happen to represent you. Whether you like what's going on or not, you need a professional, somebody who's interested and who cares about working that to be part of what we're doing. And I think that's what Scott does for us, and I give a lot of support to Scott, and I support Gary and the club for giving him that support, and that's what I wanted to contribute to this part of the conversation.
Okay, Dave, I appreciate that, and I will say Scott understands the system, and we need someone who understands the system and can protect ham radio. And I'll tell you right now, without the ARRL, and you can argue this if you want, but without the ARRL, we would have about 17, we would still be using crystals. We'd be on CB radio. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Enough of that. Make sure you mark your calendars for this event on September 26th, 6 p.m., and it's going to work this time. Right, Jason? Okay, social committee report. We have a couple things that happened. We had the Rubber Ducks, yeah. Take me out to the ball game. And we also had the Sarah family picnic this past weekend. Russ had mentioned that we had a few no-shows. But the problem, I get it. Life happens, and you just can't always get there. But again, I want to reiterate that it is your participation in this club that makes it strong and makes it what it is. It's not me. It's not Jeff, it's not Mike, it's not any of the officers here. It is a matter of you participating and being part of the group. And as you can see, we had a great time, and I love this picture of Dick on the upper right-hand corner. It's fabulous, and yeah, we met Scott in there too. I didn't tell you. I don't know why. Anyway, it was a great time. I will post these pictures, all the pictures I have. I took a few. We'll have those up on the website here shortly. And I do want to thank everybody that participated in the picnic and the Rubber Ducks event. Here you go.
Also, we only had 16 people pay for tickets for the Rubber Ducks game. And I don't know everybody, but I didn't think I saw 16 people. So I'm going to try it again in the spring one more time. We'll see who shows up. The stadium would like to have 24 sign up. And I didn't see our name on the screen or announced. So I think if you don't have 24, they don't do that for you. So I'm going to try it one more time in the spring. And if we don't get enough people, I mean, you can still go, but I'm not going to do that anymore if we don't get enough.
And the die is cast. If you went and had a good time, that's the important thing. And there you have it. And that's the important thing. If we could get more participation, that would be great. Baseball isn't necessarily ham radio activity. It's just fun. It's just fun to have eyeball cue. Well, there you go. Okay. Anything else? I do want to thank Russ, though, for organizing the Rubber Ducks event and the family picnic this year. I do appreciate everything he has done. And if you weren't such a curmudgeon, everything would be perfect. Yeah, you're a curmudgeon. No, you're not getting the microphone. You're not getting the microphone. We have an announcement from the social committee chair.
Hi, my name is Russ. I am the social committee chair. I had an idea for another event on, I think it's April 8th. There's going to be a solar eclipse, a total solar eclipse. It's going to come through our area, and wanted to know how many people would be interested on doing a special event station for that event. So raise your hand. We haven't done it yet. It's a solar eclipse. It's going to happen whether we do anything or not. It doesn't have to be exactly on Monday. We can set it. Yeah, you got to see it. I went to Kentucky last time to see it, and it was awesome. So we're going to try it. We'll see who shows up. So keep that in mind. I keep wanting to do my call out when I'm done.
Fred, here, hang on.
Well, actually, I can speak up.
No, you can't.
Oh, which way do you? Okay, hi, Internet. Like to take this opportunity to thank all my fans. Now, my question is, what kind of food is being planned for the holiday event?
Okay. Food being planned for the holiday event will be forthcoming. We're going to have a couple meats. We're going to have fish and a salad type of thing. We're going to and vegetables. We're going to cover the gamut: fish, meat, salad. So if you're a vegetarian, you can still come. If you're carnivorous, you can still come. If you don't care, you can still come. So that's the deal. It's going to be a lot of fun. My wife has gone to great effort to find bargains for door prizes. And the club just might come up with something a little special as well. That being said, you better come to the holiday party or Christmas party if you want it to be. Anybody?
And we're including the Worcester group.
Wayne County.
Okay, moving right along, Barometer Net T-shirt contest. I am so excited about this. However, before we get started, this is not a wet T-shirt contest. No, you wouldn't. All right. That being said, tonight starts the contest. This is the unless something happens, this is the tentative timeline. We will begin design submit. Okay, the whole thing is what I'm wearing tonight is the Barometer Net T-shirt that I came up with and presented it about 2 years ago to the group. And I think that somebody could certainly do better. So what we're going to do is have a design contest. If you win, you get a free T-shirt. Yeah. Okay, so the thing about designing something like this, it's got to be line art. It's got to be relatively easy to duplicate. Excuse me. Single color is better because it keeps it cheaper, and so you just can't design something very intricate or pictures or stuff like that.
What is line art? Don't give me that.
Okay, line art is this. So it's just things that, as opposed to three-dimensional or color photographic kind of things. Okay, so, did you say boring?
I said, well, I was, trying to simplify.
I heard him say boring. Did you? Anybody else? Yeah, boring. Okay. I reiterate my previous charge of curmudgeon. We love you, Russ. We love you, Russ. All in favor? Yeah, there we go. Okay, October 1st. Listen, this is important. October 1st is the deadline for submissions. October 1st, deadline for submissions. October 2nd through the 4th, we're going to vote on your favorite design. Online. We're going to vote. So you guys are going to decide the next Barometer Net T-shirt. Yes, sir.
How do we submit potential designs?
We talked about this at dinner. Why are you walking this over here to me?
Just go through the process.
Yeah, so the process is email Gary, but we will we will have there'll be I'm going to put a page up on the website. It'll probably be tomorrow, but in all honesty, it will be to email Gary because that'll probably be the easiest way to collect them all, and then I'll work with Gary. We're going to get all of the valid designs posted on the website. By the end of the day on October 1st, 2nd through 4th, it'll be announced on the net. It'll have a short URL. It'll be like wky.org/shirt or something like that. We'll have an online vote. Winner wins. T-shirts get made. Everyone gets apparel.
Now, was that hard?
Yes.
Did that answer your question? All right, very good. Okay, so I'm going to submit the design on October 5th to the, and I'm trying to go through the $5 Dream, nickel at a time. We're going to go through UIB for this, and possibly, if all things work out, we may adopt them. It's a Hartville, isn't it? Hartville company. that does this, and so we're gonna see if that works. If we think it can work, we're going to move from the Norton Place for our fall apparel drive. So that's forthcoming here shortly as well. But anyway, we'll submit the design to them on October 5th. And then on October 21st, we'll have the shirts back by then. And we will deliver them, including the free one, at Ray's Place in Fairlawn on Saturday, October 21st. Now, you do not have to be a club member to participate in this. The barometer net is far-reaching. And Jason, we're going to need a shipping line for all those folks in Oklahoma who think that they can design better than us. So we'll have to have that, and so we'll.
All of the apparel stuff online now has a ship to.
Yeah, if you want to have it shipped, we can ship it, but shipping is not cost effective unless you're in Oklahoma. Yeah.
It's not cost effective until we have a box of shirts that gets moved around 4 months out of 4 months. So I will say, if you don't regularly come to meetings or the events, actually please ship the thing to yourself, because eventually we're just going to start reselling them. I mean, I think we still have T-shirts from.
We do. We do.
So if you're not going to come to a meeting, please ship it to yourself. It's not cheap, and it's not super expensive, and it saves the club leadership a lot of grief.
Are there any 2Xs?
He's got them now. He inherited it with the presidency.
Yeah, I had a box of them right next to my Corvette.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so you can see on the screen the barometer net. This is this design. That's what the shirt looks like. I mean, I'm not telling you how to design it, but again, it's got to be something that's relatively simple to duplicate. Okay. Any questions about this? Yes, Russ.
Can you get up to 5X?
Yeah, we'll be able to get to 5X.
Okay.
Probably 6X.
Whatever. I'm fine.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, I'm going to charge you extra for an extra large.
I don't care.
Extra large. That's all you get. Okay. On the air, upcoming events. We have a couple things, not a whole lot this year, or this month, but September 23rd, 24th is the CQ RIDI contest. All you RIDI aficionados, that's got your name on it. There's a QSO party in Maine, 23rd, 24th as well. Zeke, anything else we need to know about contest-wise coming up?
Those are the two for this month.
Okay.
October starts a lot of major contests.
Okay. And we'll get into that a little later.
I also have one too. The Voice of America folks is having their special events on Saturday.
I'm sorry. Voice of America?
Yeah, on this coming Saturday, the Voice of America is going to have their special event. So
Okay.
I am on a net with those guys, and it'll be fun.
Is there a call they're using?
I don't know, but I will find out.
Okay.
Okay?
Very good. And I'll start this.
There is one.
It is VOA? All right, so look for, it's Dayton, right? Isn't it? So it's probably an 8. Or Cincinnati, I mean.
Yeah, it's an 8, but I don't know if it's WK or N.
Okay.
Also, Gary.
Yeah.
The W1AW portable operation continues, and this week until Tuesday at 8 p.m. is Texas, Pennsylvania, and Maine, I think.
Oh,
I forget. No, Texas and PA, and I forget who the third one this week is. But you go on the Arrow website and find the VOTA page, and you can see what states are coming up.
okay. I apologize for not giving you the mic, Zeke, but I will reiterate briefly. VOTA, V-O-T-A, Volunteers on the Air. Texas, and Maine, and Pennsylvania. Okay, very good. Lots of cool things on the air. Be radioactive. Yeah. Don't tell your wife, though. All right. Tech Committee report. Here we go. Have the mic.
I have the mic again. All right. So a couple things to follow up from the last couple meetings. The new to us Kenwood TKR 850 was installed on September 8th. Many of you, well, some of you at least, probably knew Dave Fyrus, AL70P. He passed away 4 or 5 years ago now, I believe it was. He had a commercial radio business. That was his main occupation. His wife, Pam, heard about what had happened with our repeater and had donated actually 2 TKR 850s to the club. So we have 1 and a spare now, thanks to Scott. Scott does some work for Pam, helps her out, and he kind of made the connection there for us. So that was really nice. We did send her a thank you letter, and I believe a small, I think a gift card to Marie's is what we ended up doing as a thank you. So, so that's installed, works really well. I did it when I was installing it. Gary helped me. I
didn't break anything.
We didn't break anything. And we measured for new cables to replace all the ones that we have not yet replaced in the repeater cabinet. So they're going to be, well, actually they're here. They're sitting in a box on my floor, not to be confused with the box of T-shirts on Gary's floor. But they're, if you're familiar with ABR Industries, they make a lot of custom cables. So these, just like we did with 3.9, we purchased what's called the ABR 214, which are silver center with double silver shielded cables. And so those are going to be installed here as soon as I can figure out an hour to get out there. You wouldn't think it'd be that hard, but my life's getting busy right now. So that'll be out there. The other thing is we are still doing some tuning of the new system. I know that a couple of people with ICOM radios have had some problems getting in. I think it's the there's a different set of deviation and gains on the Pi-Star board that I think is what has to be tweaked. Because I can tell you when that went out the door, the deviation on the radio itself was good. So I think it's just some reception problems. I've been doing some research. There's a guy who recently published a really nice process for retuning an MMDVM board using like an RTL SDR dongle. So I'm probably going to do that. So hopefully, if you're having access problems, we'll get that resolved here fairly shortly.
Is that only D-Star?
D-Star is the only, an ICOM 4100s on D-Star is the only problem that I have heard about. So if someone else is having a problem, thank you for not complaining about it.
But if you are having a problem, let us know.
Yeah, but the ICOM 4100s are infamous, notorious. They're a good radio, but they also have some quirks to them, and this is one of them. So, but we'll get it figured out here. My 4100 works fine. So if you just move within like 4 miles of the repeater, that would solve your problem too, Ron. So. You could do that too. Next up is field day. So if you remember a couple years ago, we had tried to make a separate operating committee, and then we decided to try to make like a field day committee, and none of that really worked all that well. So what we're going to be doing is, I think field day is going to get split up. We're going to have the tech committee do the operations perspective of field day, and then the social committee / other leaders will take care of the social / organizational aspects of field day. But one of the things we want to do is we want to do a little bit of reimagining about what we do for field day. We have a fairly nice set of equipment and a lot of people who show up, but we don't get a lot of actual hands-on mic or keys participation. If you look at our score, and obviously it's not all about score, but our actual score for contacts is like going off a cliff. And it's good, right? It's nice to have social time, but we do as a club spend a significant amount of effort putting the event together. We've invested in the equipment. So we want to take a little bit more of a serious aspect to operating. What's going to go into that is we're going to talk about exactly what we want to set up, what the goal of that is, and if we need to purchase equipment. And we're going to start with what we want to do and what we think the system's going to look like, because that could dictate where we actually meet for field day. The Legion Hall is a great place to meet for field day. It's very good for the social aspects and kitchen and air conditioning and hanging out. The geography, though, if you've been there, does not really lend itself to doing a whole lot with a nice antenna field. You're kind of limited to either the grassy space right off to the northwest side of the building, or you're way out in the field, which actually isn't even part of the Legion Hall. It's part of the park that's behind, that's owned by Rittman. So there's a group of people that's going to be getting together to look at what we have, what we want to do antenna-wise. There's been some different proposals on adding a crank-up mast, splitting up some of the systems so that we have multiple antennas again. But some of that may dictate what kind of field we need for field day. So that group's going to be meeting this fall. We'll probably have some more stuff to talk about in the January time frame, but that's some discussion that's going on now. So, do I have one more slide?
You do.
Okay, I can't remember what it is.
and I do want to say one of the great things about field day and us is, and number two, we do have a good time. So, but we noticed about, I don't know, we're at the site, everything's set up, antennas are up, transmitters are ready to rock and roll, and everybody's standing around talking, and there's nobody on the radio. So we're thinking, maybe we should emphasize operation a little bit more. I'm not interested in, first off, it's not a contest, so I'm not interested in winning necessarily. But anyway, we want it to be a little more competitive maybe, and maybe that'll be a little bit more fun. You never know. Don't go away.
Well, I also belong to the Sea Park Club in Cauca Falls. While I don't go to their field day anymore, when I did, they have a sign-up sheet, hour by hour, which station you want to operate for that hour or how many hours. So I don't know how well that works. I don't sign up to operate because I'm usually exhausted by the time I get the food ready. So I don't know, you might think about a sign-up sheet. Of course, I did sign-up sheets and they didn't work out all that well. So there you go.
Yeah, there's some good psychology there, because you make a commitment, you're more likely to follow through. Generally we think a field day is like, well, this is how we practice for our emergency operations and that kind of stuff. But many of us, not all of us, but a lot of us have some HF capability at home. If we want to play HF, we can play HF, 9:30 at night, or when we get up at 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever. But the thing that got me back into this hobby 15 years ago was my daughter joining the middle school ham radio club in Copley. I'm not sure how active it is. They still have one at the high school as well. But, you know, I remember being a kid, it's like going over to some guy who lived in the neighborhood who had a setup in his house. I saw his antennas. I just knocked on his door and introduced myself and said, "Can I see your radios?" And he actually gave me my first CW test back in the 70s. And, you know, that interest, if you can get young folks, you know, come in and play radio with us, because this is a chance. You don't have to be licensed to go do field day. Anybody who has fun playing with walkie-talkies or CB radios or whatever's out there anymore, we need to get those folks to come in and just play a little HF with us and show them the ropes and just spark that interest. And 3-4 years down the road, all of a sudden they're out there setting up the antennas.
Yeah.
So I think it's, for us, it's kind of this practice thing. But what I think you were getting at is what do we do with it? And I think it is one of our better marketing opportunities. And we try to get the mayor in to get our points and do all that stuff. But really, if we can just get a dozen kids to come in on any year, and maybe get out into the schools possibly, and invite people to come out and join us, experience ham radio with us. I would love to get into Copley middle schools and that kind of stuff, and maybe we have some new blood.
Okay, and that's a great idea. We have had many members join Field Day, at Field Day. And thanks to Jeff and Jason, we can accommodate that and take their money immediately. Not that that's the most important thing or anything, but there you have it. Okay, great comments, appreciate it. So we're gonna massage Field Day. We're never going to not have fun. Never.
We didn't say that.
I know that. I'm just saying.
We may not have fun. There may not be any fun.
Oh no, there's always going to be fun.
That's not on the sheet.
Well, who
Fun
put
is
that?
fun.
Who made that slide?
I did.
Yeah. All right, all in favor? Fun to the sheet. All right, there you go. All right, here we go.
What slide? Oh.
So, licensed trustee operation manager change. I'm abdicating that. I'm giving it back to Jason. If you notice this here, it says me. It won't say me in the future. So, Jason, you have any other comments on that?
No.
Okay, then that's
do
it.
not.
we just want you to know, Jason is now the licensed trustee, which permanently puts him on the executive committee and the operations manager as he so deserves. So that's that. I don't think there should be any questions, but are there? Okay. We are at the end of the meeting. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything for the good of the cause? Yes, sir. Hang on. We want the internet folks to hear you.
So I've been watching, and the testing session coming up, I had a couple questions about that. I want to look at upgrading to a general class license. It's been 8 years since I did all that for the tech test, so I've been studying like crazy. What do I need to bring, and do I have to sign up?
Okay, this is the guy you need to talk to. You need to sign up online. We do appreciate that. And he'll tell you everything you need.
Okay.
w8wky.org, and at the top there's education, and then I think the first link is testing.
Okay.
You were going to say distractor.
I know I was. Yes, sir. Here.
I don't know if this would fall under this or under new business. I'm not up on my Robert's Rules of Order, but another reason I've come back to the meetings is that I'm still trying to get my shack together after having moved here a year and a half ago, and having trouble with antennas. And I'm not terribly handy, and I was just wondering if anybody in my area, Norton area, would be willing to Elmer me a little bit and help me figure out my DX commander and maybe help get things up in a tree that I've got going on. So if that's another section or whatever, or if somebody would be willing to come out and see what I'm doing wrong to help me get my shack together, I would very much appreciate. Thank you.
All right, we do have an agency for that. Dave, I think we can accommodate, and just shoot me an email as to what you can use my call, AAHCS at ARR, wow, ARRL.net. Or on any email that comes your way, it has my actual email address at the bottom. So just shoot me an email and we'll see what we can do to help you out, because that's what we do. That's for sure. Okay, anything else for the good of the cause? Okay.
All right, last chance for 50-50. Get over here and buy them now. Last chance for 50-50.
All right, 50-50. Anybody want a 50-50? Okay, any other questions, concerns, comments? Impeachment? Anybody? All right, the next Sarah business meeting will be October 19th, 2023 at 7 p.m. and this very location. Plan to attend and bring a friend. 50-50 raffle. If you haven't gotten your 50-50 raffle ticket, get that now. Well, you might as well, because I already bought the winner, just so you know. Motion for adjournment. Stefan, second? Marty? And anybody not want to adjourn? All right. Well, I appreciate that. And here. KA8OAD. Ken, Digital Dorsey. We'll talk about mesh networking. God, I love that picture. Thank you very much. I bet. Okay, take 5, and we'll get things situated. Ooh, how did I get this one? Oh, that's mine.
Yeah.
All right, are we all set? Everybody set? Okay, let's start. I have a question first of all. How many people in here have heard of mesh networking for ham radio? Several of you. Good, good. We've got a good start. All right. Well, the ones that haven't heard of it, you're going to learn a lot more about it tonight, I think, I hope. So this is broadband hamnet. It was formerly called HSMM, High-Speed Multimedia Mesh. Broadband hamnet has kind of gone by the wayside. It's actually been taken over pretty much by another system called ARDN, A-R-E-D-N, which is the Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network. I'm going to talk a little bit about ARDN, but everything that broadband hamnet did, ARDN also does. So we're going to go through broadband hamnet, and anything I talk about on broadband hamnet still will apply to the ARDN stuff, the new ARDN stuff. So just to give you an idea. So what is broadband hamnet? Well, it's a high-speed, self-discovering, fault-tolerant, self-configuring ham network, wireless computer network that can run for days from a fully charged car battery or indefinitely with the addition of a modest solar array or other supplemental power source. Its primary function is for emergency communications. There's a lot of EMCOM people that use ARDN instead of using the internet, because if the internet goes down, you're done. So ARDN is our own private, basically RF network that works just like the internet. Anything you can do on your computer on the internet, you can do on ARDN or broadband hamnet. It's actually not currently being designed. These are old slides. This is a fairly old presentation I gave a few years ago, but it was at that time being designed and developed as an amateur radio broadband communication system. It originated in Austin, Texas, but it has spread all over the US and many other countries around the world. And a lot of people still use broadband hamnet. It's not completely out of the running, but it's pretty much been taken over by ARDN. Almost everything now you'll see is ARDN. But in its current form, it's built using a Linksys WRT54G GL or GS router. I'm sure all of you have probably seen one of these little Linksys routers at one time or another. They're still usable for what we're doing here, which is great. And you can usually find them pretty cheap on Amazon or on eBay or at HamFest, usually. So it's time to have our own broadband network, which we now have. We've transferred our IP data by radio for ages. This network is fast. It's 802.11g. Wireless routers can do 54 megabits per second compared to 802.11b at 10 megabits per second, and packet radio at 1.2 or 9.6 kilobits per second. So much faster than a lot of the older data modes that we used to use. And you can use WinLink on this network. WinLink works really well on the mesh networks. So broadband hamnet is a network. It's not application software. It's a special firmware that you basically flash into the unit that transforms a standard consumer wireless gear to specialized ham radio functions. It can use application software to transport your data from place to place, but you must provide the application software just like you do at your home or office. A mesh network is a highway which data travels, turning on two mesh nodes located within the broadband hamnet firmware creates a data network. This highway carries your cargo data and allows your computer to use information or applications stored in other locations. And again, mesh nodes are originally consumer wireless routers, but updating the internal software, the function of the device can be changed. They're a data network without the wires, basically. It's just like your home network, except it's all wireless. So most tasks you can do over a wired or wireless network at your home or office will work on a mesh node. They're small, they're portable, Again, they're low power, they're inexpensive, they're easily battery powered, and tonight everything you see here, I'm going to do some demonstrations, everything that's running in here tonight mesh-wise is all running on 12-volt batteries. There's no AC power at all. They're easily battery powered. They can have a range of about 10 miles or more depending on what kind of antenna you have. If you have a gain antenna, you're actually, and true line of sight, you're going to get a lot of range. On those Linksys routers, these things are almost have no power out. And I know they're using them in the Virgin Islands, between islands, and granted, the routers are on the top of the hills on the islands, so they're way up there on the hills, and obviously they're transmitting over water. They don't have anything in the way, and they're using corner reflector antennas, but they're getting 35 to 40 miles from hopping from island to island using those Linksys routers. So they have a nice broadband Hamnet network down in the islands. So if you didn't know, the 2.4 gig wireless band, the 802.11 band, actually overlaps with the Part 97 or the 13 centimeter ham band. Okay, what that does for us, that allows us to use a few of the channels in the 2.4 gig range as amateur radio operators and not as consumer operators, which means we can have high gain antennas, we can have higher power ratings, we can do all kinds of stuff that you can't do with just a consumer router, because we are ham radio operators, and the ham band, the 13 centimeter band, falls within the 2.4 gig portion of the band, so we have that ability. The first 6 channels of the 2.4 gig are completely within the 13 centimeter band. So the center frequency on channel 6 is 2437, the high is 2448, and the low is 2426. Beyond that, we can't go into here because then we're getting out of the 13 centimeter band. But the first 6 channels of the 802.11 are within the ham amateur radio band. So most of the nodes are set up to operate on channel 1. Obviously, like I said, channels 1 through 6 are available, and they're completely within the 2.4 gig ham band. The mesh nodes on channels 1 to 6 use FCC Part 97 rules instead of Part 15. So this allows big antennas, more power, and other changes. And obviously, mesh nodes are going to talk to each other using RF. And then they talk to the internet over the WAN port and to computers, servers, video cameras, and other devices using the LAN ports. So I have these connected. So you'll see on the back of these Linksys routers, you've got a WAN port and you have 4 LAN ports. All of your devices plug into the LAN port. So your computer would plug into a LAN port, a camera would plug into a LAN port, anything that's going to be network related would be on the LAN ports. If you plug an internet, like your router, your home router, into the WAN port, then you actually have internet, and you can serve internet across the entire network. So let's say, 2 blocks away, you have somebody that has one of these, and you're connected to them, and your internet goes down. If they still have internet, they could plug into the port, and you could actually piggyback off their internet then and use their internet. So it's a way to actually get internet over if you happen to be out. So mesh nodes create a network just by turning several of them on. They create portable high-speed data networks in minutes. And I have 3 nodes here tonight. It took me 30 minutes to set all these nodes up, so it doesn't take long. They don't need a computer to be attached to pass data to other mesh nodes. You just plug one in and it expands the net. So you don't even have to have a computer connected if you just want to be a node out there to expand the network. You don't need to physically attach to a node to make changes to it. You can actually remote in to configure it from anywhere on the mesh network. So any one of these, I have a node over there, I have a node over there, and I have a node on the desk. I could connect to that node over there, and I could actually update that node over the air if I have the login and the password to get into that node I could just do anything I wanted to, reconfigure it, whatever I want. And obviously data's data. It can be IP video, it can be voice over IP, it can be LAN traffic between computers, a web browser, reading a situation briefing web page, downloading operating software or downloading a radio manual by FTP, printing out something. If you have a printer attached, you could actually have a remote printer. Keyboard chatting, there's also a chat mode, and obviously your regular internet too. IP addresses in the system do exist, but you interact with the mesh nodes by using the node name. The names can be tactical, but your ham call is still sent out frequently as a beacon packet. So you have your ham call in your node. And to set up a node, it's very easy. You put the software in, and it only asks you for two things. It asks you to put your call sign in, and it asks you to change the password. Once that's done, your node is ready to go. Any node within wireless range automatically joins the existing mesh and exchanges routes with all others. If one mesh node has internet access, again, like I said, and it contains a network time protocol server, all the mesh nodes will get the correct date and time in their display. And as signals grow stronger and fade, nodes will join and leave the mesh. And that can happen many times as you drive around. Occasionally I'll throw my mesh node in my car and drive around and see if I can hit any mesh nodes. I do get a few of them occasionally. But your path between any two mesh nodes may be single or multiple hop and can and will change with no notice or impact to you. So even if you're connected to one node that you can hear and there's another node that you can hear, but you're connected to the first node because he's stronger, if he drops out, you automatically connect to the other node. You know, and it's completely transparent to you. You have no idea that you've just made that change in the connection. The data flows where it needs to flow because of automatic routing delivered by OLSR, which is Optimized Link State Routing. So it tries to find the most optimum link for you to use. A single node joining your mesh may add other nodes if it can see other mesh nodes the first group can't reach. It does so by becoming a bridge to join the two separate groups of mesh nodes. So if there's a node that you can see, but he's seeing nodes that you can't see, if you connect to him, then you're automatically connected to all the nodes he can see. Net mesh node owners from different parts of the country will join any existing mesh just by coming within range of it. So again, let's say you're called out to a disaster or something in California. You could take your mesh node with you and set it up, and if there's a mesh node out there that you can connect to, you will connect. There's nothing you have to do. So several mesh nodes plus one experienced ham operator equals a portable, quick deployment Swiss Army knife of network services. So how does it work? Well, as long as one node can see another, devices on the network can talk to other devices on the network, and each node can relay traffic between nodes. So between any two computers or devices, you can have multiple paths giving redundancy in case one node goes down. And again, like I said, paths of different quality are automatically considered. If one path is worse than another, it's going to get less traffic. If a node that is in use goes down, the surrounding nodes will automatically figure out an alternate route to pass the traffic. And with LSR, again, the best route is automatically determined and used. And once again, items connected to nodes can be any network-enabled device such as computers, IP webcams, IP telephones, web, email, file servers, RMS WinLink nodes for our WinLink, network-attached storage devices. Anything that can communicate over a standard TCP/IP network will work over the broadband HamNet. So tonight I have two IP cameras connected, I have a VoIP phone system connected, and we'll show you all that interoperability here. So this is kind of what the mesh would look like. So let's say we've got this node up here that's node A, and this node down here that's node B. Okay, the OLSR is going to determine that the best path is going to be this red line to get from A to B. So if A wants to talk to B, he's going to be using this red line. Now, what happens if one of these nodes drops out? Let's say this guy drops out. Now what do? Well, it recalculates, again, the best path, and it determines that this path, the blue line, from this node to this node, down to this node, down to B, that's the next best path. So it would automatically reroute using that path. And the same goes for like C to D here. So C to D, there's one node here between C and D. So that's obviously going to be the optimal path, assuming the terrain and everything. But we'll say that's the optimal path. Well, let's say this node goes down. Then what happens? Well, we go to this node. This node is connected to D. This node is connected to C. So it just reroutes the traffic that way. Okay, what happens if this node goes down? Well, then you've got C to D on this orange line. So it would go this to this node, to this node, to this node, to this node, and then to C. So it would route the traffic that way. So that's how the network actually works, the mesh. And these network nodes behave very much like a walkie-talkie. That is, they're very low power and line of sight, so you typically end up talking to a node on a hilltop, mountaintop, or some other elevated location. Okay, that's the best. Now, I will say I had a buddy that had a node in his car, and he was over in my area a couple weeks ago doing some work, and he said, hey, I've got my node running sitting on the front seat of my car, and it was just, it was just one of these Linksys nodes with nothing more than these antennas. He was about 5 blocks away from me. So I just fired up my node in the house, same thing, a node just with these antennas, no outside antenna or anything, and I was able to connect directly to him and link to his node, not a problem. So, so how do you determine if there's a local node, and how do you find out if you can reach it? Well, again, line of sight is really important, at least for significant distances. Since they are microwave, they don't do trees well at all. So if you're in trees in a wooded area, good luck. You're not getting out very far. It really is, line of sight. There are a number of online calculators ranging from simple to use to really complex. A simple calculator can be found at heywhatsthat.com. And yeah, heywhatsthat.com. And actually, this is a pretty nice calculator because it'll do, all kinds of calculations for you. Exactly, your terrain and what kind of terrain you have around you, and it's actually pretty good for an LOS calculator. So by entering your location, the expected elevation of your node, and naming the site, it'll generate a coverage plot for you. And you can do this for your QTH or any other existing local nodes. Now these plots do assume that you're using omnidirectional coverage, and most of the high-profile network nodes that you're going to find that are on towers, things like that, they're going to have directional sector antennas. They're going to be much more directional than that. But the plots still will let you know if there's a possibility of connecting via RF to a node somewhere. So what kind of hardware is required? Well, a Cisco Systems WR54G series consumer-grade Wi-Fi router loaded with a broadband Hamnet firmware. And you can find those loading instructions and the firmware on www.broadband-hamnet.org. It cannot be a version 5.0 or higher. All other versions are supported. So version 1.0 to version 4.0. If you get a 5.0 or greater, it will not work. The hardware changed, and since they haven't done any work with this for quite a while, no one has updated the software to work with the newer hardware. So you have to find. And if you just look on the back of the router, it'll tell you. It'll say, this is see what this one says. This is a WRT54G version 2. So that would work fine. And it does work fine. But so that's the only thing you have to watch out for. And especially if you buy them on eBay or something, you have to watch, you have to make sure you tell the person it can't be higher than a version number 4. I've had a couple buddies that have been burnt. they've asked the person, you know, what's the version, you know, is it 1 to 4? Oh, yeah, and they get it from the seller, and it's a version 6 or a version 7 or something like that. So you can't use those, unfortunately. So now the 54G version 1.0 uses regulated 5 volts. All the others use 12 volts. So I would stick with the 2.0 to the 4.0, and that way you'll have 12 volt operation. And then there's some more documents on on their site. You can also use a Raspberry Pi running either HSMM Pi or HSMM mesh software and any USB Wi-Fi dongle. So I have a very old Raspberry Pi computer. I think this is like an A because it has the RCA jacks for the video. But I have it on a little TP-Link. Now this is just a standard USB Wi-Fi dongle plugged into USB, and we'll plug this in and we'll show you how we can actually get that to connect to the net. Option 3 is buying consumer or professional Ubiquiti wireless routers such as the Ubiquiti AirGrid, NanoStation Loco, NanoStation M2, and others. There's also a MikroTik. MikroTik sells wireless routers. They're widely used as well. Now, all of these routers, for the most part, are going to be used with the Arden network. I do have that node that's over there. That is a Ubiquiti router, and I do have the HSMM software in here, the broadband HamNet software in that one. But most of the newer ones with the Ubiquitis and the MikroTik you're going to have to use Arden for those. And Arden Mesh tells you what they support. They support, I think up now, I believe they support 60 platforms or something like that. And these guys are actually, I mean, you can get something like this, a dish that has the electronics and everything right in it. You send one, there's no cabling whatsoever, no coax cabling. All you have to have is an Ethernet cable because they use power over Ethernet. So they power the device and use the data coming off one cable. And that's all you need. And those things, you can find those on Amazon brand new for about $100. They're not very expensive for what they are. And then, of course, you have all kinds of options for antennas. You can do circular, rectangular, or flat panel antennas, and those have between 8 to 24 dBi of gain, 12-element beams, 16-element beams, 20 dB, 24 dB gain. And then, of course, just verticals. You can get 8 dB, 12 dB, 15 dB verticals. So that's, those are choices, a lot of antenna choices. So how do you modify the Linksys router? Well, you get the latest broadband HamNet firmware from the broadband HamNet site. You use one of the 4 Ethernet ports. Don't use the WAN port, use the Ethernet port. You connect it to computer, and then you take the original router firmware and you just go into the menu on the router and you say update firmware. And when you say update firmware, you're going to give it the file you downloaded. You're not going to update you're not going to update the Linksys firmware. You're going to update with the broadband HamNet firmware. And then once that's updated, you log into the node. The first thing it's going to come up and say is you need to have a call sign in there. So you put your call sign in, like K88081. You change then it's going to say you have to change the password. You change the password. You save those 2 items. You reboot the system, get it in within range of another, and you're connected. That's all there is to it, to connect them. And here's just some examples of people using the systems. So this is broadband HamNet on a van. They have a nice pneumatic mast there, I see. Typical portable omnidirectional mode, something that somebody can just set up real quick like. Typical unidirectional mode, so you see it has a dish antenna, so it's going to be more unidirectional. Obviously very high up on a building somewhere. Broadband Hamnet in a box. This guy took the router and a camera and everything and put it into an ammo box. That's kind of what I have over there on that system. I have a little ammo box over there, and the camera and fits in the box, and I have a battery in the box. And the only thing that doesn't fit in the box is a router. I take that separately. But and Broadband Hamnet in a backpack. If you want to do that. So Broadband Hamnet, as I said, is low power. Linksys 54Gs have a maximum power output about 79 milliwatts, so that's 0.07 watts. But it does use standard 12-volt input. So operating time, if you're using one 9-volt battery, they will run on 9 volts, you can get about 22 minutes of operating time. 4 AA batteries will give you about an hour and a half of operating time. 8 AAs will give you about 5 minutes. 4 Ds, about 5 minutes, 6 Cs, about 8 minutes, and a Lantern battery, a 6-volt Lantern battery will give you about 9 minutes. If you're using a 12-volt rechargeable sealed lead acid, you'll get, with 1.3 amp hours, you'll get two and a half hours. If you're using a 7.5 amp hour battery, you can actually get 32 hours out of it. And a 55 amp hour sealed lead acid battery with a 45 watt solar panel, even under suboptimal conditions, can run a WRT54G indefinitely. So you could stick one of these up somewhere with a little solar panel and a 55 amp hour SLA battery, and it would run as long as the battery was actually still working. So we'll talk about Arden a little bit. Now again, Arden works exactly the same way as the Broadband Hamnet works as far as connectivity and everything. It's just different equipment basically, which means you have different firmware for it. But these are some of the Arden systems. This is a nice little dish that has the transceiver built right into the feed point of the dish. And again, you just run a single Ethernet cable up to that and you have your data coming down. Here's someone that's using an Arden node, kind of like what I have over there, and just a standard Yagi. And then a dish again. This picture, he's actually using the 5.8 gig on the dish and the 2.4 gig on the vertical. So he's running actually 2 frequencies at the same time, which you can do. And in fact, there's even a couple of MikroTik routers out there that have 2.4 and 5.8, and you can actually use the 5.8 for the mesh stuff and use the 2.4 for your Wi-Fi, for a wireless. So you can actually just connect to the 2.4 side with your laptop using the 2.4 gig and then use the 5.8 gig for the mesh. So the features and benefits, Arden offers 2 channels on 2 gig, 24 channels on 3.4 gig, and 7 non-shared channels on 5.8 gig that are not shared with Part 15 users. So that is really something. That basically, you read into that you don't have any commercial users on those frequencies. So it's a very quiet band. Changes to the firmware can be done over the RF link without physical access, just like on the Broadband Hamnet. They actually have a maximum data rate now of 130 megabits per second. They've actually managed to improve the data rate from 54 megabits to 130 megabits per second. So that allows you to take advantage of some of the Ubiquiti systems, and so you can get better throughput on those systems. Again, low investment entry, portable nodes with cable and remote switches can be established inexpensively. Backbone nodes with multiple transceivers and cables are still affordable too. But just a single node is really fairly inexpensive. Again, rapid deployment. There are many choices for antennas. Again, you can do sector antennas, 120 degrees, highly directional Yagis and dish antennas with them. It interfaces easily with other internet devices. Again, Same thing. All of it, anything that you can use, plug into your local network, will work on this network. So where are the nodes? Well, these are the Arden nodes that are currently in Ohio. They have a very large group of Arden users in Columbus, a very large group of Arden users in Dayton. The orange circles signify the 5.8 gig devices, and the purplish ones are the 2.4 gig devices. There is a 2.4 gig device right here in Wadsworth somewhere. But somebody has a 2.4 gig device in Wadsworth. This is in Medina. And of course, there's a couple up in the Cleveland area and Findlay, Toledo area. And you can go out, and this is on the Arden website. You can go out to the Arden website, and this is actually a real-time map. You can click on the site, and it'll give you the call sign of the person, where they're located, and all the information on the site. So not a whole lot. We'd like to extend this more. When we get done with the new communications center over in Talmadge, I'm putting Arden nodes up on the very top of our tower in Talmadge, and I want to try to get as much coverage as possible. So I'm going to be putting up sector antennas probably in 3 or 4 different directions. In order to ensure good performance, you do need a strong link to the network. Obviously, like most other ham radio activities, more gain is better than less. And even if you have 2 nodes within range, the node's routing software will always pick the strongest one as your path into the network. So dish antennas are greatly preferred. It's better if you use something more directional. All of the equipment using dish antennas supported by Arden use electronics integrated into the dish feed point, 2 transceivers, 2 modems, an embedded computer with RAM, ROM, and a network interface. They're all power over Ethernet enabled, so that avoids having to run both a network cable and a power cable up the mast to the node. And you'll see the Ubiquiti node over there is running 1 network cable. The only thing I don't like about the Ubiquiti nodes is they're 24 volt. They don't make them in 12 volts. Now I've heard they run in 12 volts, but I don't know how well. So what I did with the Ubiquiti nodes, I actually created I just took a power booster and just ran 12 volts in it and used a 24 volt power booster, and that's powering the Ubiquiti stuff over there on that pole. And the booster's sitting on the floor if you want to see it. And obviously your equipment has to be on the same band as the node you want to connect to. If they're both 2.4 gig and 5.4 gig nodes equidistant from you with similar characteristics, choose the 5.8 gig. Like I said, the band is quieter, there's more bandwidth, more channels, and the gear is really about the same cost. In some cases, there's even less cost on some of the 5.8 gig. Arden now supports 65 devices, so there are many options when choosing what to buy. Both Ubiquiti and MikroTik equipment work very well. And the big warning, when you're using parabolic reflectors, do not stand in front of the dish for extended periods of time when it's powered on. Never look into the focus of the dish when it's powered on. These small dishes have 80 to 100 watts of ERP at 5.8 gigahertz. The MikroTik Base Box 2 has 30 dBm of output power, so it's powerful already. When fed into the 30 dB gain dish, you get 1 kilowatt of ERP out. So you do not want to stick your head into the feed point of that dish. It's like sticking your head into a microwave oven. So use caution when you're using high gain dishes with this system. And the information here, broadband-hamnet.org is the Broadband Hamnet site. There's a very good web, W8MRC has an excellent excellent PDF document on HSMM mesh. There's an Arden Beginner's Guide, which is also a very good PDF document if you want to see what he has. And he shows like the setups of the systems and everything. And then also ardenmesh.org is the primary Arden site. So I would say probably if you're even thinking about getting into something like this or even playing, probably your best bet would be to go to the Arden route because you're not going to be using something that's old. But if you have these Linksys routers laying around, I know there's 4 or 5 guys up in Cuyahoga Falls that are within 3 or 4 blocks of each other, and they all have their own little Arden mesh setup up there because they all have these routers and they used them. So with that, I'm going to do some demonstrations here of the network. Now we're going to pretend that these nodes are a lot further away than they are. We'll just pretend that for now. I couldn't knock a wall out and push them out further out, but so to bring up the node, the address for the node is just local node -8080. Now I have a node sitting right here on the desk. That's K8OAD1. So I'm talking to this node right now here. Now I can go to the mesh status. And now you'll see I have 2 current neighbors. I have K8OAD2 and K8OAD Nano 1. So Nano 1 is the Ubiquiti Nano over there, and K8OAD2 is over there. Now I can actually connect to any one of these nodes just by clicking on the node name. And there's K8OAD2, so I'm now connected to him. Now if I want to, I can connect to Nano 1, which is over there. Now, what I can do is, let me go back to my main node. Well, no, let me go to K8OAD2. So we'll go to K8OAD2. Now, whenever you're on a node, you will see, if you look at the status of the nodes, you can see every device that is connected to that node will be shown, and there is a IP address or a address that you can click on to go to those devices. So I'm going to go to my camera on K8OAD2, which is over on that side, on my right, your left, I guess. And sign in. And there's the camera over there on that side. Hi, camera. So now, if I want to go back to, I'll go to the Nano station now, which is over my left, your right, and we will bring up its node. And we'll click on the camera over there, and we'll log into that camera. And there's the camera over there. So that's the 2 nodes, yeah. Hi, camera. So not only do we have cameras connected, I also have a phone system connected. Now I'm running a Raspberry Pi running Astris PBX. So a PBX is just a little phone system, a voice over IP phone system. It's running Astris PBX. So I have a phone connected to my network here. I have a phone connected to the node over there, so let's dial him up. You want to grab the phone, Gary? No? Sure. So there's the phone. Yeah. Just hit the speakerphone. Hit speakerphone. It's the one down far right corner. Hello. All right. Now, Gary. Wait a minute, that's it? Hit the, just dial 4061 and then hit the speakerphone button. And now he's calling me. Hello. Okay, thank you.
Hey man, what you doing?
Trying to close up this meeting.
You forgot to ask him what he's wearing.
Yeah. What are you wearing? Right. So now I'm going to power up this other Raspberry Pi here. Figure out how to plug it in. There we go. Okay, he's on just a little battery pack. It'll take about 30 seconds for the software to boot. But while we're waiting for that to boot, do I have any questions? Yes?
I was thinking about you said the remote location, like putting it up there with 55 amp hour battery, solar panel, run indefinitely. Yeah. Will these reboot automatically? And then power
Yep.
comes back up?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything to them. All you plug them in and they boot. They're there. So, yeah. So.
In the Medina Fairground, they set up a mesh network during the fair and do all
Yep.
the cameras around the fairground.
Geauga County Aries does the same thing. Geauga County Aries has mesh cameras in the fairgrounds for the Geauga County Fair, and they have them up on poles by all the entrances. And so they're in use. They're in use. We've used them for the marathon one time to watch the start line.
Nice.
We had a mesh camera down there at the start line and used that to watch the start line. So, yeah, it's pretty neat. Let's see if this guy, I think he's up now. So if I refresh this screen.
It'll show a new member.
Yep, there it is, K8 OAD3, and there's nothing connected to him, so I'm not going to actually get anything. And as you can see, he's at 100% because it's sitting right next to the other one. But so the link quality is really high on that one. Let me see, quit.
And how does this handle interference from other Wi-Fi on the same channels?
It actually does really well. Yeah, there's Wi-Fi in here, and I use it at home all the time, and it's actually, in fact, they just they did update the Broadband Hamnet software to add even more security and better filtering and stuff, so they've improved that part of it. So somebody is still kind of working on the code.
How about the other way? Does this interfere with your normal Wi-Fi?
I've never noticed a problem with it.
Even our microphone system right now is running on 2.4 gigahertz, and it's all running fine.
Yeah. There's now granted, I'm not running 50 watts or anything, but
I used to work for a company called the Telephone Exchange years ago when I was part-time at the Tri-C. A friend of mine had it out in Geauga County, and we were just starting to get into the Asterisk phone system to set up people's phones, but we had to run lines. If you had like a big piece of property, like I know some people that have a big manufacturing barn out back or just the place and they don't want to run that, you could set up 2 points and run your Asterisk system.
Yeah.
And for some people that may or may not know, Asterisk is the backbone for All-Star.
Right.
It's what All-Star is built on top of, the Asterisk system.
There's Asterisk right there. I can go into the administration page, and I don't remember what the password is, but.
I don't know your password.
That's the password,
There you go.
I think. We'll see. Yep, there it is. No, it's not.
That's okay.
Oh, well, anyway.
It's a good system and it's free. Asterisk
Yeah,
has
it's
always been free
it's
system.
a good, username, that's what's wrong. I didn't,
Username is admin, and then whatever the password is. Probably, no, you're still in username?
yeah. So, continue. Oh.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's right.
Yeah, well, anyway. Yeah, but I could log into the Asterisk system, and I could do that from one of the remote nodes. So I could log in, like if I want to log into the phone, the phone configuration on another node, let's run over there real quick. If it lets me out of here. Come on. There we go. Okay, so if I come over to, if I go back over to the node that's over there in the left, well, my right, your left, and I can bring up the, well, that's not it. Silly.
I think you would just click on the phone, right?
Yeah, you can do that too. I can click on the phone. So I can click on the phone that's over on that, and I can actually do the username password with that.
To log directly into the phone.
Correct.
Right. And I can actually log directly into the phone and make changes on the phone if I wanted to make changes on the phone. So
So if you wanted to take away your kids' access to phone, you could just do it without the video.
that's right. So anyway, so that's Hamnet and mesh networking Any questions? Yes, yes, sir.
So the more nodes you have to go through to get from your source to your destination, does that lower your throughput?
It's going to a little. It's actually not bad. It's pretty fast. Yeah, I've only done like 3 or 4 hops, so I'm.
Each hop then does a store and forward feature. So each hop, so hop A goes to hop B and it stores
Right.
it. It can't transmit and receive at the same time.
Well, yeah. It's just like
Wi-Fi router can do both at the same time?
yeah. It's 802.11. It's just like Wi-Fi. Yeah, there's no storing or anything. No, it's just like your Wi-Fi in your home.
All
Yep.
you're doing is reprogramming.
Right.
Yeah, well, I thought 802.11 though, the routers, because they're so fast though, it appears like it's full duplex, but it's still only half duplex. 802.11?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I don't know.
I just was
Yeah.
curious.
I have no idea. I'm sorry. No one's asked me that question before. I can look it up though and find out, but yeah. Anything else? Anyone else? Nothing? Yes.
So you have 2 antennas on the
Right.
there. Do you hook them to do it for?
No, the 2 antennas are just for diversity mode. You could hook to either one of the ports. You wouldn't have to use both ports or have some kind of a Y thing to go to one cable or something. Yeah, you could do either port. It wouldn't matter. It's just for diversity. It's just to make it easier for the router to be able to pick up signals. But yeah.
You have 2 directional antennas, one on each of the connections, pointed toward different nodes.
That's a good question. I would think that probably would work. I don't know. I haven't.
New test.
Yeah, it's a new test. I'm gonna have to break out some antennas and try that. But yeah, right. Well, yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I'll have to try that. I'll let you know how it works. Anything else? Nothing. All right. Thank you. We'll turn it over to Gary. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you all for coming tonight. And Ken, thank you for another brilliant presentation. We appreciate that. We'll see all you all later. All y'all. All y'all's plural. I know.